With all of the NBA's reports and rumors dying down about Damian Lillard, it is now the time for the Raptors to swoop in with a huge offer to try and land the superstar point guard. Let's get into it. Welcome everybody to Amateur Hour Sports, the YouTube channel dedicated to Toronto Raptors content. And around the NBA in recent weeks, the reports and rumors regarding a possible Damian Lillard trade have really vanished. I mean, I know right now it's the start of August. This is really the time of year where most front offices take their vacations, but still, in times like this, where especially with Portland, there's a bit of a crisis brewing, wondering exactly what the team is going to look like. Is Damian Lillard going to be involved? And also, on the side of the Miami Heat, who allowed Gabe Vincent to walk away for free and Max Strus to walk away for free without replacing them, it really is crunch time for the Heat to try and land a player of Damian Lillard's caliber so that it attempts for the team to get back to that NBA Finals status. But recent reports coming from Brian Windhorst, one of the most reputable NBA sources in my opinion, is that all of the conversations surrounding Damian Lillard are dead. I mean, it didn't help that Damian Lillard's agent flat out said if he gets traded anywhere other than Miami, he is simply just not going to show up for training camp. And now we're getting to a point where, well, we understand the situation around Miami. Miami just don't have the goods to make this trade possible. The centerpiece of Miami's trade is going to be Tyler Hero along with 2 picks, unless they can open up a third first-round pick to trade. Jaime Jaquez involved in the deal, who Portland probably don't really want because he's more of a polished prospect rather than a raw prospect, which a tanking team like Portland would be looking for. So naturally, Portland aren't very much interested in the trade that Miami have to offer. Miami can't put together a suitable trade package, and if a trade can happen with Miami, and Dame has made it explicitly clear he doesn't want to go to any other team, we're in a situation right now where a trade may not happen, and all of a sudden, Damian Lillard is looking at his calendar thinking he may have to report for training camp for the Portland Trail Blazers. So given this whole situation, is there a distinct possibility that Damian Lillard opens up to a little bit more teams, especially after NBA Commissioner Adam Silver reached out to every team around the league saying that situations like this are not going to be tolerated? The bottom line for Damian Lillard is that he signed that Supermax contract with the Portland Trail Blazers. Now, along with getting that massive financial payday, Dame now has to stick with the Trailblazers. When a player signs on for that additional amount of money with a Supermax contract for the 5 years, they're getting all of that money, but they're sacrificing the ability to choose. They're sacrificing the ability to choose their team. Damian Lillard understood that when he signed the contract, but now he's trying to back off of that statement, and now he's trying to pick which team he goes to. And Masai Ujiri said it best in his press conferences recently in the offseason, talking about free agency, where Masai Ujiri pretty much said, free agency is dead. Free agency doesn't exist. It's not about free agency. It's about players wanting to find new teams.
At the end of the season, there's always a player that wants to move or wants to change, and that's the new free agency, basically. Everybody wake up to that. Everybody says, will free agents come, will free agents come, will free agents come. Free agency doesn't happen anymore, really. The new free agency is players change teams.
That is the new free agency, and that is what we are seeing with Damian Lillard, because there's always going to be another superstar that wants away, and the Raptors, seemingly for a number of years, were in a position where they were prepared to try and get one of those superstars, and now Damian Lillard is available for trade. So could the Raptors be the team to swoop in and make the big offer to land the Portland Trail Blazers superstar point guard? A recent report coming out of Jay Weinbach on Twitter says that the Raptors are a team to keep your eye on. They have the ability to make a trade that Portland would be extremely interested in. OG Anunoby could go the way of the Portland Trail Blazers, along with Chris Boucher, draft compensation, and salary filler. Now, I will say there's not a lot of merit behind this report. It's pretty much just speculation here. Hey, if Damian Lillard is going to open up his options to other teams around the NBA, the Raptors certainly should be the team that you should keep your eye on. They have the players that Portland would be interested in. They have salary-filling players as well to put in the deal, and they have draft compensation, at least a little bit of it, that they can send Portland's way to make this deal go down. And in the case that this deal does go down, the Raptors would then have a starting 5 of Damian Lillard, Gary Trent Jr., Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, and Jakob Poeltl. I mean, make no mistake about this deal. If Portland are willing to stoop down that low in terms of the valuation. They don't want to get 2 players in the deal. Assuming Gary Trent is not part of the salary filler involved to make this trade happen, a starting 5 of Dame, Trent, Barnes, Siakam, and Poeltl is a contending team. Let's not pretend here. That is a contending team in the NBA. As far as the depth goes, the depth may be a little bit thin, but with a starting 5 of that caliber, if health is on your side as far as luck is concerned, then certainly that is a team that can go out and contend for an NBA championship. I don't know if they're as good as the Bucks or the Celtics, but they have every chance to go out and win a championship. But at what cost for the Toronto Raptors? Because in terms of the trade here, OG Anunoby is a coveted piece. I mean, the Raptors were looking for 3 first-round picks at the February trade deadline. They were offered that, but they also wanted to have an additional player involved with those trades. So OG Anunoby has a good amount of value, but what can the Raptors trade as far as this, quote, draft compensation is concerned? Well, that's where it gets a little bit tricky for this Raptors team, and that's why I was so frustrated with the Jakob Poeltl trade at that February trade deadline, because the Raptors sent over to the San Antonio Spurs a top 6 protected 2024 first-round pick. So only 1 first-round pick. I mean, we have all these other draft assets in the future that we can trade. Well, not really, because the protection on this trade make the situation really complicated for the Raptors. The pick is protected top 6 in 2024, but the protections for that pick go into 2025, and the protections also go into 2026. So there's a possibility that that 2024 first-round pick could convey in 2026. So there's a possibility San Antonio Spurs are selecting with the Raptors' 2026 pick. And since there's that possibility they select with the Raptors' 2026 pick, the Stepien rules would imply that you cannot trade back-to-back picks. There is a chance that the 2027 pick is a back-to-back pick. And because there is a chance a 2027 first-round pick is a consecutive pick, the Toronto Raptors cannot trade any of those picks. So 2024 is gone, but they can't trade the 2025 pick. They can't trade the 2026 pick. They can't trade the 2027 pick. So they can trade the 2028 pick, but if you're trading for a player of Damian Lillard's caliber, it's obviously not just going to be 1 pick. So you'd have to trade the 2028 pick along with other picks, but you can't trade the 2029 pick because that's a consecutive pick. So it would be the 2030 pick that the Raptors can trade. So it would be OG Anunoby, Chris Boucher, salary filler, and draft compensation. That draft compensation is a 2028 first-round pick and a 2030 first-round pick. So as far as the commitment to Damian Lillard, he's well into his 30s at this point. That makes us a contending team, certainly for at least a year, but is that worth it right now for this current Toronto Raptors team? Because the championship window that would provide you would be relatively small, and you're committing a lot of assets, like a very key one in OG Anunoby, and a lot of future draft compensation to make that happen. Like, basically, the Raptors would be in a championship or bust phase for 1 to 2 years with this deal, and then following this deal and after everything kind of fizzles out in this championship era that the Raptors could construct, well, now they are seriously hampered by a lack of draft picks down the line. So in order to make this trade happen, it would be, in the case of this report here, OG Anunoby, Chris Boucher, salary filler, and the 2028 and 2030 first round pick. Ultimately, it's not a bad deal, but as far as the cost is concerned, like, sure, it's the Raptors finally picking a direction, but I don't know if this direction is enough to really go all out for at this present time. The Raptors are really not putting themselves in an excellent position to commit to a trade like this, and it's all because of the ill-fated attempt at making some sort of contender out of this team at the February 2023 trade deadline. Like, we're going to be looking back on this trade deadline, I think, in a number of years, thinking about how much it really set back where we were. Because last season we were talking about the KD sweepstakes, the Raptors being a firm player because of all these tradable contracts, all these great players to trade, and all of the draft capital at the disposal. But now so much of the draft capital is tied up. We have expiring contracts that we're concerned about. We just had a key player leave for free. It's kind of a mess of this whole situation. I don't think this is the solution to that problem. So as far as Damian Lillard goes, I mean, the trade, could it happen? Yes, but considering what it would cost the Raptors, considering the position we're in, and considering the fact that Dame himself has made it explicitly clear that he doesn't want to go anywhere except for the Miami Heat, this trade is likely not going to happen. So I'd say, like, as far as a percentage, we're well under a 10% chance. I'd say well under a 5% chance of the Raptors legitimately landing Damian Lillard. And even if they were in the mix, I'm not sure it would be the best idea for this team going forward. So what do you make of this whole situation? Would you want the Raptors to make this deal? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more Raptors content like this, and I'll see you again very soon for another video.